The most exciting part of a vacation stay at a home rental? Easy. It's being greeted upon arrival with a rusted lockbox affixed to the underside of a stranger's condo. Yeah, you simply twist knobs, click gears, jiggle it, and then rip it off its moorings, and voila! Your prize is a key to a questionable home rental and maybe tetanus. When you just want to get your vacation started by actually getting into your room, it matters where you stay. At Hilton, we deliver your key right to your phone on the Hilton Honors app. Hilton for the stay.
Get ready for the greatest roast of all time, the Roast of Tom Brady, a Netflix live event happening May 5th. Hosted by Kevin Hart, the 7-time world champion gets his cleats held to the fire by famous friends and frenemies on an unforgettable night where everything is fair game. Tune in on May 5th at 5 p.m. Pacific time for the Roast of Tom Brady, live only on Netflix.
Mom deserves the best, and there's no better place to shop for Mother's Day than Whole Foods Market. They're your destination for unbeatable savings, from premium gifts to show-stopping flowers and irresistible desserts. Start by saving 33% with Prime on all body care and candles. Then get a 15-stem bunch of tulips for just $9.99 each with Prime. Round out Mom's menu with festive rosé, irresistible berry chantilly cake, and more special treats. Come celebrate Mother's Day at Whole Foods Market.
I'ma let you finish. I figured I'd say it first because we never say the name of the show anymore. We just start talking.
But we're going to assume
that at this point
that you're here. If you're listening to us, you have an idea of what you're doing. It's like you don't, every time you go to Target, you don't have to say, you're in Target. It's like, I kind of figured it out. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay.
It's a Monday morning, guys. We used to tape on Mondays. We don't tape on Mondays anymore. But, somebody in this group is going on a road trip, which makes me quite jealous.
Well, somebody, you have to get a better probation officer.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I love that you said that you could go. Your probation officer was like, you're free to go now.
You can go. Just, you're allowed out of the city. You don't have to wear the ankle bracelet. Check in every day. So
I'm so jealous.
It should be fun. It's any chance. My cats are not going to be happy when I come back, but they're cats. So fun.
Right. Who's going to check in on them?
Whatever. They're cats. They'll hide. Cats.
They're
not like dogs. Cats.
Do you have one of those timed feeders that does the fresh one?
But not timed. I'm not that fabulous. It's just they'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like they'll figure it out.
They always do.
Survive Pompeii. My cats will figure it out. Anyway, anything of the last week of note you want to talk about?
No, because once again, another rainy weekend in New York. I don't know about you, like out west, guys who listen to this out there, you're having full-on heat blast. Hell. We're having weird heat, humidity, but rain. This is the 4th rainiest July on record since they started taking the records. So literally it's rained, I think they said like 15 out of the 19 days of July.
As a plant owner with outdoor plants, I'm not mad at it.
No, listen, everything is, but do you see how everything is super green and super luscious? It's exhausting because what happens is then we come to Monday and it becomes 89 degrees and tomorrow's going to be super hot. All during the week when everybody's having to work again, it's super hot. Then we get to the weekend when everybody has weekend plans and everything gets rained.
Oh, well, that's what people get for having weekend plans.
Yeah.
How stupid are they? Weekend plans. Well, speaking of someone who clearly had a lot of time on their hand this weekend, your personal Jesus, Britney Spears, Do you
remember how before we were all like,
feeling sorry for her?
Well, no, we still feel sorry for her. We were like, Britney doesn't control her social media. It is very clear now that there is a shift that has happened and Britney Spears has the keys and the passwords to her social media.
Oh, yeah. So she, look, all joking aside, it is obviously a good thing that it's looking more and more like she is going to be able to regain a good amount of control over her life, which is a good thing, as it should be. Yes. But it's now gotten to the point where I don't want to hear anything from you until the story is over, because now the only person who she's not attacking at this point is Kevin Federline. I mean, he's come out of it, and he probably actually was fine, you know.
But I guess, but you know, he's always spoken his support. I guess for her, and the things that this goes into the shit that we don't know about this story, right? And I guess she's, from what I'm gathering, is the support, that public support now that she's gathering from her sister and her mother. She feels like maybe that wasn't there when the father was doing all of these things, and where was everybody when all of this was happening? Which I get, because now it's like we want her to have her freedom. It's like after she's basically had to break out of jail for it. Like I was always wondering during this situation, where is her mom? You know what I mean? Where, like, because there were issues with the dad, with that family, and even with the mom. So I'm like, why is it that everybody's just kind of let him take over when he wasn't around always? You know what I mean? It was listen, I get saving your kid. I absolutely love that he saved his kid, because we've seen the flip side, right? When everybody's like, why didn't somebody do something? But I don't know if doing something looks like this for 13.
I don't know. Was he saving his kid, or was he ensuring his paycheck?
I think back then he was saving his kid. I do think that back then. But getting a full conservatorship that lasts for 13 years and having this much control. Yeah. Don't tell me she's high functioning enough to do a tour. And I say this to people as someone who's worked on tours. Let me just say this. It is really fucking difficult. Everyone thinks you sing and dance and it's easy.
Well, in her case, she's only dancing.
But it doesn't even matter if that.
I know.
Because knowing your cues, knowing where you have to be, the quick changes are usually 45, they're short. If you can do all of that and be where you need to be, and nobody thinks you're going to get on stage and yell bloody murder and try to escape, I think you can also manage your checkbook with some help. And guess what? Some famous people, he's like, I don't want it to go broke. Nobody does. Some people do go broke. That happens. But that doesn't mean that they're, incapable. And I'm tired of people wanting to diagnose this girl with something. We don't know what her mental health capacity is. Yes, we saw her in a really bad way, but we also saw a young woman who had 2 kids back to back, paparazzi chasing her, getting a divorce, not able to see her kids. Anybody would have a sort of nervous breakdown in a place where you can't trust anybody. Do you remember how she'd be going to get coffee and it'd literally be like 60 paparazzi surrounding her car? That time she's sitting in the car crying, begging them to stop, and they're just taking the picture. Anybody would have that kind of a breakdown. So I do, like you, I have a lot of sympathy. I still fear for her. But what I want her to do, and I want her new team to do, is be like, all right, you said your point. Now let's go to the courts and do what we have to do, and not lash out so much. Because I know that the natural reaction is lash out and say these things that you've not been able to say. But I think for her it will be more impactful to, now that she has somebody who's advocating for her, especially if you still have to go in front of all of these judges who's advocating for her, let him do his thing. And then when we get to the big points in it, then you can say what you need to say,
I agree. I'm just tired of people venting on social media.
All of it. And, it's just like.
And it's not, and again, and then it's not to take away sympathy, but I just am tired of it.
I'm also tired of people's family shit. It's the same that like the Harry and Meghan shit, right? To me, it's the same thing.
I don't give a fuck about Harry.
No, but I'm saying,
I really don't. Sorry, I don't give a fuck anymore.
I gotta tell you, it's so crazy because I was really into it at the beginning. I was, and then it got annoying.
No, I just don't care about it.
And I don't care either. But it's the same principle to me. Everybody said their initial thing against their family. Now have your family fight privately, because honestly, there's parts of both of these fights we don't know. So stop having everybody's having the parts we want to know public. So go to your corners and go beat up your families like the rest of us in private.
Right. Well, I wanted to, just because we were talking about Britney very quickly, waiting for my check for Netflix for talking about this show twice. Just talk about the This Is Pop series, which is on Netflix, which is a lot of fun if you're a music person, and a lot of fun if you're not a music person. But I will say it's about 7 or 8 parts, about 40 minutes each, really well produced. And I will say the testament I can give to it is someone who has been knee deep in the hoopla since forever. I'm learning things that I didn't know.
Which is always a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I love that when I'm watching a good music documentary and you think you know some shit and they hit you with something you're like, I had no idea about that.
Right. So the 2 segments I watched this time were the auto-tune one, which is interesting, but the Swedish, the domination of the Swedish producers in the 90s. And I have to say that so Dennis Pop, starting with ABBA and working its way up, Dennis Pop, people like that, Max Martin, the Sharon, and these are the people who created or molded the sound of Backstreet Boys, most prominently Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears, but they went on to more and more groups. And I actually went to Stockholm in 1999 for Vibe magazine to my thesis, which the late Dave Bree, bless his heart, believed, was that Sweden was the capital of R&B music right now, because all of this stuff had an R&B kind of edge to it. And I just thought it was, it's a really interesting thing. It talks about why Sweden, there's many reasons I won't go into why Sweden as opposed to in any other country. There's cultural things, there's musical things, the Swedes grow up speaking English, but it's it's a really interesting documentary, and it does talk about the cyclical nature of pop music. And so I recommend it, but the Swedish one is very near and dear to my heart because I unironically love that stuff, you know?
Right.
All right. So you saw a documentary that you really like about, you talk about J Balvin. I can talk about the New York music show. So why don't you talk about the J Balvin doc if you want to?
The J Balvin doc, you know, it's like you say, and I'm starting to believe this. I love a good documentary. It's very interesting when you see one from an artist's point of view. There's some that I feel like will give you a little more of an unflinching, raw look. Now, what I felt like—
This is on Amazon, right?
It's on Amazon. What I felt like his documentary delved into well was talking about mental health, because he suffers from anxiety and depression. And they go into it a lot, and you see him having sort of episodes actually a lot.
Okay.
You know, I felt like the whole overall framework of the documentary was framed around, you know, there's a lot of unrest in Colombia right now, and especially the young people who are feeling like there's no hope, they need education, and they're really rallying against the government because they're feeling stuck. So really the arc is he's coming back home, he's ending his show in Medellin Stadium, which is the big one. It's the last stop on the tour. It's like his biggest show ever in his home country. And people are calling him and other artists out because they're not saying anything political and saying anything about this young man who was murdered, I believe, by the police. There was a killing. So it sets off a lot of civil unrest, but he's not said anything. And it's like, it's framed around the grappling of, as an artist,
what's his responsibility?
And then when you do kind of say something, then he's kind of getting attacked, people feeling like that's not enough. And then you know it's leading to, you could tell, all right, this is leading to, you're going to say something on the stage at the end of the show, which is, of course, he says something on the stage at the end of the show. So that was a little predictable and little storyline-ish to me that I didn't like. What I did like was him showing it does not matter if you fly in private jets. It does not matter if you have this gorgeous home. It doesn't matter that you're having all of this international success. Depression and anxiety affect everybody to say it's the same as that person who's a homemaker at home. It's the same as the person who works at a post. It's the same. And that's important because I think seeing more men in Black and Latin cultures, which are traditionally very macho and machismo driven, as far as men don't talk about your feelings, dealing with mental health issues, it's really going to help a lot of people. And because I personally think that in our communities, I'm glad to see people really addressing it more, because I think with a lot of these young people out here, there are a lot of people grappling and suffering. I know I feel crazy, Amy. I feel different after this pandemic. I feel very and mentally different, and it's hard. And my anxiety that I struggle with sometimes, it comes differently now after all of that, you know? So I think there are people suffering.
No, there are definitely people suffering. I mean, I will watch the J Balvin. I like J Balvin. He's coming from a much more conservative country and background. You know, I don't want to even go into the church and stuff like that. But,
and that was his point in it. He was saying, I say something in this half are happy, but this half aren't. I say something this half are happy. And he was like, and I don't even know all the information. I'm an entertainer.
That's his.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. No, okay. Just lost it.
Well, no, you have to watch it. I think just watch it.
I know, but I don't know something. You're an international superstar with access to media 24/7. There's no excuse.
Yeah, but you know what? I've dealt with artists who honestly don't want to know anything about politics.
Well, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. It's not politics. It's your country. You should know what's going on in your country, especially in Latin America, well, my point is that I'm glad he's talking about mental illness. I will say that it is a much less taboo subject now. It is a subject that people freely address, not freely, but younger, I would say 30 and under. It's something that people are much more aware of, much more open to talking about. So that is a good thing. Right. People do not have to suffer in silence, and I hope he's dealing with it. But yeah, I have no continence for people who are like, oh, I'm not aware of what's going on. You fucking grew up in a country that has been in turmoil forever. If you're willfully deciding you don't know what's going on, then fuck you. I'm
Amy
sorry. You don't
spoken.
No, you don't have to. Even if he said I'm for the junta or whatever, they don't have a junta down there, but come on. If you're not part of this, you're a minority. You should know what's going on in your own country. All right. I'm going to just real briefly, there's a great exhibit if you live in New York City, if you want to travel to New York City, at the Museum of the City in New York, which is a fantastic museum, which I was very late to going to because it was it's kind of far uptown. It's on Museum Mile on Fifth Avenue. And it's called New York, what's it called? I wrote it down. New York New Music. And it's, New York New Music. And it's sort of centered around the New York downtown, mainly downtown music. No, not downtown. I strike that. The New York music scene, 1980 to 1986. The 1980 entry is somewhat tied to the 40th anniversary of MTV, but their MTV-ness of the show, of this exhibit, is minimal. And for what it's worth, a lot of people did associate MTV with New York back then.
It was, it was Times Square, the center of the universe.
Right.
So it definitely was. It was definitely, and it was a New York moment.
It was in New York. But this show is just, I went with people who were about 10 years younger than me, but all New Yorkers, all people who were in the clubs, all people, as my friend said, he was 14 years old going to the clubs. He was sort of a free-range child, but he could do that. But it's great photographs of everybody from Grandmaster Flash to Sun Ra.
Oh, wow.
Great fantastic videos. Del Byzantines, which was Jim Jarmusch's band, Three Teens Kill Four, which had David Warder Norris. the Bad Brains. I mean, just band at the ESG when they were 15 years old at this little club. So great archival stuff. The posters. People don't remember that back in the day, the advertisement were ads in the Village Voice.
Oh my God, they so were.
and the Soho Weekly News. That's how you found out about shows, or posters on the street, right? So,
I used to love the
that's
I
how
would
you
go
check everything.
and I would go to my Village Voice and immediately be like, okay, who's gonna be in
free? You got it for free.
Yeah. Who used to be in town? And I knew where, because you could get it early on Tuesday nights at certain locations because it came out every winter. So I would go to Astor Place, and there was a few other little dots along that side of the village that had them early. So I would go before I got on the train to go to Queens, and I would.
That's how you got your jobs in your apartment.
Everything. And I would read the personals. First thing I would do was go to Michael Musto and read what bullshit he had going on, because it was always something good. And then when he got to great shit, if it was a blind item day, I'd be weak. I'd be so excited. It's like, oh, is this blind items? Because they were always so good. It's so juicy.
No. So it is very much, like I said, it functions. It's just very well done. Look, no exhibition is going to be complete. For me, it was very nostalgic. I'm looking at pictures and I'm like, oh my God, I knew him. I saw a picture of somebody who was my roommate in San Francisco who did live in New York for a while, who's dead. And I was like, holy crap, I haven't seen a picture of him in 40 years.
Right.
So it's very nostalgic, but it's also very informative. So I do highly recommend it. Museum of the City of New York, time tickets. If you're a teacher, you get them for free. So
really?
Yeah. New York City employees, I think, do get it for free. So I do have it. Anyway, I highly recommend it. All right. Any dish you have anything? I don't pay, I know you're much more tuned in to what the kids are giving a damn about.
I'm not paying attention to shit. It's like this weekend was just, it's been a weird summer because nobody's really touring. Oh, I will say this, like Foo Fighters having to cancel a show because some COVID.
Big surprise.
Now you've got, these Olympics haven't even started and they're a shit show. It's like athletes are dropping left and right because of COVID. Japan is like, why are they I understand you're like,
why? It's money. It's money.
But we haven't even started. The countries haven't even started mixing yet, and they're dropping like flies.
Yeah, no. I mean, I went to, oh my God, so there have been, my neighborhood, I live in Brooklyn, there have been these little street parties all summer, kind of ad hoc because of the Safe Streets thing where they've been blocking off street. So Soul Summit, which is a party that started out really fun and kind of underground, which of course had ballooned into something ridiculous, but it is a big house music party that will not be happening this summer because they couldn't get permits because the Parks Department is nervous about that. Neither will Afropunk. Afropunk's pretty much gone. Yeah. Done. But so they've been doing on one street on Saturdays kind of more of a house music, dance music, but not straight up, like more of a vibey kind of like mixing African music and stuff. But on Sundays, they've been doing a full out fucking house music party, and Barbara Tucker was performing, who is house music legend.
Well, she lives in the neighborhood again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. And I heard singing, and I was like, that's live, but I didn't get to see her. But so we have full out black gay men with towels, and all that's missing is the talcum powder. That said, your intrepid reporter, Miss Linden, is not getting all up in a dance mix.
No, it's funny. Like I'm
on the sidewalk. I love it, and I still have we know what's going on in terms of COVID, but I'm still like I don't know you. I'm not dancing with you.
I've been invited to a couple of dancey things that I really wanted to go, and I didn't go. Yeah, I'm just like, it's going to be too crowded. Like I was about to Saturday across the street from my house in St. Nicholas Park. Shout out to Harlem. There was a DJ set up and they were doing really fierce house music. It was just starting. I was running errands. I was like, oh, I'll go sit out there because it wasn't Sunday sermon, which happened a couple of weekends ago.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Well, as a block party for you know the show I told you about, Run the World on Stars?
Yeah.
They filmed the finale, and they actually filmed a bunch of locations in Harlem.
Oh, cool.
And so they had a block party. And so Storm and Norman DJ, and it ended up being that. So they were playing music, and I was like excited. Okay, great. I come in, drop off my shit, go to turn around, the sky opens up. I was like, oh, this looks like it might be just a short little drizzle. But of course, it wasn't a short little drizzle. It rained for the next couple of hours, so that killed that. But yeah, like you've been telling me about the stuff in Brooklyn, and a friend was like, come. But to me, there's these variants going on and shit. Yeah, I'm kind of paying attention to that. Like, yeah.
I know someone who got a variant. He's okay. He's vaxxed. I'm just being cautious. I mean, I'm not being paranoid. I'm not being paranoid. I did go to a restaurant on Saturday after the show. Shout out to Taranga, which is a great restaurant on.
I've been to a restaurant too, and we sat. Our table was by the door, and we were inside. I'm doing it, but I'm not going to squeeze into a crowd and be dancing.
Right, of sweaty men.
Because I'm looking around and I'm saying now I'm starting to hear people who been vaccinated are getting the variants, and some have gotten sick. They haven't gotten, I'm in the hospital sick, but they were sick. So I'm trying to avoid that moment because yes, I think we've all been cooped up and it sucked. But I think a lot of people are also acting like
it's all over.
It's all over. And no one said it's over.
No. And well, we'll see what happens. But like I said, as we've said, it's better to wean people off than to just sometimes rip off the Band-Aid with stuff like that. And people are going to be less likely to want to put the mask back on if you've told them they could just do whatever they want. I have to tell you really quickly. So I was just looking at my phone, which I know is very rude. Mm-hmm. And our delightful friend, Barney Hoskins, who he and Mark Pringle run Rock's Back Pages, which is also on our network, Pantheon, just texted.
Shout out to Pantheon.
Right. Really enjoyed the latest episode of our show with the talk of the Euros Cup. And just how whack Paul Simon is or isn't.
Listen, I'm not trying to do... Okay, we're going to go back to this. I'm going to say it. Because I know because
the fact that we said Euros.
I know, which is hilarious. The Americanness of us is just like, listen,
we apologize.
It's not even the American. It's like New York. It's just the Euros Cup.
We thought it was a cup of.
We thought it was a cup of Euros, China. You know what I'm saying? I thought they gave you some Euros and put it in the motherfucking cup.
We apologize. This makes up for Mark Pringle saying De La Soul, but which I did learn after we talked to Maurice. Morris Bernstein.
Wait.
I'm like, oh, it is. That's how you guys say De La Soul. Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to really briefly, and we forgot to do this, Courtney. I'm so admissed. Rest in peace to Biz Marquis.
Yes.
Legend. I mean, I'm sorry. I apologize for not.
We should have opened up the show. Right.
I'm so sorry about that. So Biz, just one of the greats. He
likes my taste in records.
Oh, good. That's cool.
One day,
very cool.
Like this was so my local record shop. I believe is open. Maybe they've only been open, I think, 3 years. So this is within the last 3 to 4 years. And I had gone there to buy some records. And then, of course, because I'm greedy, I was like, I think
you should say instead of greedy, you're expansive. There.
No, greedy. I was like, well, of course, when you buy records, you need Chinese food from the hood spot. And there's only one that I go to, which is next to my barbershop, Figs. Shout out to Figs on 8th between 134th and 135th, my spot. Everybody goes there. Who's sitting in the shop talking to him but Biz? And I had an armful of records. I was embarrassed because, I had like weird pop shit and that I just found in the bin. And he was like, oh, this one's cool. He's like, what records are those? I said, I just bought some stuff they added to the collection. He went through them. And I don't remember all that I have. And he was like, oh, this is cool. And I think I had like a Grease soundtrack. And he was like, oh, I love it. He was really cool. Really, really, really nice fun guy. That it was always fun. When he was around, not many people just bring people pure, unmitigated joy. There's something about when he would be around, people were so excited, almost like kids that he was around.
Well, he did Yabba Gabba Hey. He was on a kid's show.
Right.
No, I think I met him. I met him once at the Tibet Freedom concert, and he was sitting backstage with the biggest Afro wig I've ever seen on anybody. He was going to perform with the Beasties, and then I did interview him once, and he was Will Smith's tour DJ. This was in the early aughts, and I always was respectful. I mean, Will Smith's ties to Scientology, are problematic. But that Will Smith would always recognize his hip hop roots and always throw a lifeline to people who influence him. So Biz Markie was not only a great rapper, but he was a great beatboxer, and he was a really good club DJ. He was a really good club DJ. And also, one of the first people to really get nailed was sampling, and he sampled Alone Again. Oh,
he's like the case for it.
Him and De La Soul with the Turtles. And then his next album he came out, it was called All Samples Cleared. But died way too young, 57 years old. I mean, but just a lovely guy, and Just a Friend is a classic, and I hate using that word because it's overused, but it really is. But he's more than that, and just I'm sure everyone listening to this does know who he is, but pour a little something out for the Biz, because no one does beat the Biz. And
I love to see all of the love that he's getting.
Yeah, because you get the sense there are people that just never pissed any. Mike D from formerly of Beasties wrote a wonderful, we posted that. Mike D, Talib Kweli performed Just a Friend the other night, the Blue Note. Yeah, it's across the board. And it's not just the usual stupid celebrities who had absolutely nothing to do. Like, it's not Kris Jenner going, oh, Biz Markie. It's like, sit down. It's people who know him. I love when people I need. No one needs to know what you think. No one cares.
My favorite is always like, did you ever meet? Well, no, but they inspired me so much. It's like,
we did.
They inspired everybody. That's why they sold 850,000 million records. Have a seat. No one cares. Stop trying to get your name out there. Oh, my favorite is the people who don't know, and immediately the Instagram, because I call it the Instagram rush up. Let's all find the photo that no one else has and put it up, and then write the caption, and you're just like, girl, guy, please, somebody help me. Somebody help. I have been kind of turned out. I feel like the girls heard me. All of the girls have started to say, you know what? We've been sitting in our feelings with these feeling songs.
You mean the women? The women, you mean?
Well, I call them my girls.
I know. I'm teasing you.
Yes. But Normani finally has made a star-making turn. Thank you, Normani. It only took 9,000 songs, 80 videos. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? For you to come out with Wild Side, her new single featuring Cardi B, that is amazing.
He's choking up. He's so excited that he was choking up.
My allergies, because of all of this rain, I feel like everything is just blooming. It's on fleek. She's giving me Chocolate Goddess. I love it. I love the song. I love the video. You're going to hate me
so much.
I know you don't like it. I know, but the thing is, I love it. I think that she's been trending all weekend. This is the star-making turn people are waiting for from her. Is the song breaking new ground? No, it's not breaking new ground.
Right.
But I also realize that is the trend of music. We're older, so while we may want something different, that's in the lane of what they're doing, and she did it well. So I'm happy for her.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I only listened to it once. I just you couldn't tell me it was Normani or anybody else. But
I think
I liked. What was the song? The one where she the one with the big dance number.
Motivation.
Yeah, I liked that song. It was.
I liked it too. I thought that was great, but it didn't work. People didn't care.
That's this so weird.
And I thought when I heard that, great. you just don't even know what the thing is that people are going to gravitate toward. Do you just
I will
don't
applaud her for not putting out yet another person jumping on the dance music bandwagon. And I know you love the Shakira song, and you're really going to hate. You're really going to hate me with it.
I love house music, Shakira. I love this song.
House music shit. Then we listen to a different song.
Well, it's old. It's like an old house beat, really. For Don't Wait Up. What song did you listen to?
That's what I listened to.
With the night surfing. Yeah, that beat is an old house beat.
All right. Here's my problem with the song. I love Shakira. And one of the things I loved her when she was the Colombian Alanis Morissette, which is how she was being marketed.
Yeah, she was a rock girl in the beginning.
With the brown hair. I love her. And one of the things I like a lot of things about her, but one of the things I love about her is that her voice is, it's her as soon as she sings. Yeah. This could be any woman. There's no Shakira-ness to this song. Where's the vocal thing? I love that about her. I love the warbling and the kind of, so it's a good song, but I just don't hear.
It sounds 1,000% like her.
She's too iconic. Well, not iconic, but she's too established an artist. I feel, and I don't know, but I feel like she was told, make something so you can blend in with everybody else.
She wrote that shit. First of all, she wrote it. And I think that's just the vibe she's in. When everybody gets to the 40s is when we go through the dance album phase, Miss Thing.
I'm not talking about the dance album phase. I'm talking about her vocals.
But I like the vocal on this. I like that she's singing this song with a little less vibrato, because I don't think this song calls for that much of it, but it sounds like her, and I like it. I like the beat to it.
I'll have to go back to it.
And I like the video, I like the night surfing. I think it's really, really cool. It's a moment. Listen, we're coming into where the end part of the third quarter, as we go into the fourth quarter, starting September, which is traditionally the heavy hitters time of everybody coming out with their songs. We know we've got, hopefully, Rihanna coming. The video she was shooting in the Bronx was for A$AP Rocky's album, so we'll see what that is. But hopefully that'll be a good tie into her. And I personally think, since it has been since 2016 since Lemonade dropped, knowing Miss Thing, I think that she's due for a record before the end of the year. So we'll see, right?
And I'm sure it'll be dropped at like 6:02 in the morning. We'll have to sit there. Or it'll only be available with a COVID vaccine.
Now, can I just say, I hope for her, I hope this actually is her dance music album phase, because I'm like, okay, it's time for you to make us all dance and sing again. It's like, we've gotten the message.
Yeah, we got it. Your husband's a dick and your father's an ass. All right. We got it. Now
I'm ready for I'm ready for shake your ass on.
I'm ready for that. We got it. Jay-Z, we got it. I listened to a couple songs which I really, really like. Pop Smoke, we've talked about him before. I really admit that I slept on him, and I am bad Amy for that. Yeah. This obviously he was killed about 2 years ago, and his manager and head of his record label, Stephen Victor, who's a really nice guy who I will always love, because he got my then teenage sons into Clips shows, because my son was obsessed with the Clips. Which is either really good parenting on my part or really bad parenting on my part. I don't know. But I like Pusha T too. But anyway, he's got this song. He's got two songs out that are really good. One is Demeanor with Dua Lipa. Obviously, they did not record it together. Obviously, her vocals were put on after his passing. It's a good track. But the one I really like is called More Time. It's kind of moodier. He's an interesting artist, was an interesting artist. And what's kind of cool about it, and I didn't know this, is it's got an interesting beat. But one of the guys who also produced it was the guy named Nicholas Bertel, and he scored Moonlight. He was the guy who did the orchestration for Moonlight. So it's got a very cinematic, moody feel. And I'm really digging this woman. And I'm getting all this from the New York Times, of all places. They do a really cool playlist every week. Xenia Rubinos, have you ever heard of her?
No.
Okay, this record, it's called working all the time. It is everything. I mean,
Really?
there's 9 million things going on at once, and yet it's very short. It's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You've got Funkmaster Flex horns. You've got reggaeton beats. You've got dance beat. It's all over the place, and it's just. She's just really interesting. I don't know anything about her. I don't know if she's American, and I don't know if she's Latinx. I don't know anything about her. She sings in English, but it's just a very one of the, every once in a while you'll have somebody who seems to throw everything at the wall and it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is one of those things, and it's 2 minutes. I mean, it's short, and
it's like the kids always say. I heard that 2-minute song, Amy, and I heard Sophie all over it. We still can't get over that one, but we're gonna move on.
No, you left off the best part.
What?
The 2 minute song that had 6 producers.
It had 6 producers, and I was like, "Did you?
Yeah.
Did you really? You did?
Yeah.
Which part?
Yeah, which part in the 2.5 minute song with 6 producers? Did you? Yeah, I know. Well, this is not a case. I don't know who produced it. I don't know anything about this woman, but it's a very, very cool little song. I like it. So I'd be interested what you think of.
Okay, can I tell you some weird shit? Please. This weekend, I got into oddly enough, a Fifth Dimension K-hole.
Well, that's not oddly enough, honey. That's because of Summer of Soul. We're all kind of reconsidering them.
And I never really. I have a couple of their albums on vinyl, and that someone that I kind of got, and never really played them. And then this weekend, all of a sudden, I just started pulling out Fifth Dimension albums, and just they were really groovy, kind of funky, and doing their thing, man. Those albums are great.
And also, we're very instrumental in giving Laura Nero mainstream success.
Yeah, because she never
Soul Picture.
Yeah,
Soul Picture and Wedding Bell Blues.
I mean, she never had hits with her songs, but everybody else who covered her songs seemed to have hits singing her songs.
Yeah, well, Laura. Yeah, she didn't fit what you're supposed to look like as a singer-songwriter, but. And what I love about Summer of Soul, and we've discussed, is the documentary, which is on Hulu, which is very much worth watching.
Is that why they suddenly got back in my consciousness?
Yes,
is that what it is? Because I'm like, what made me go to this?
No, they are a major part of that film. And one of the things, there is a absolutely beautiful sequence of Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis watching themselves perform back then. But what is interesting listening to the Fifth Dimension now, because I grew up, they were all over TV all the time, is seeing them placed firmly within the context of Black music, because they were not back then. Right. They were not seen as, yes, they were a pop group, but seeing them perform live, it's a very different thing when they're performing in Harlem than when they were on the Smothers Brothers show. Right. So it's a great movie, but yeah, that's why, of course, they're in the zeitgeist right now. People are talking about the Fifth Dimension. All right, so I'm at a loss for words. So maybe you want to give you do this so well. Give our little tags.
Well, our little tags, this show is brought to you by Courtney and Amy.
Yes.
Courtney and Amy, they're available for parties, dances. We open up at strip clubs, but before the titties come out, because we don't do that. Shout out to the old school baby doll.
I did that.
Y'all heard you that. As a coffee, she said, not anymore.
I was a bartender.
What did you want a bartender at the baby doll? What's in the spot of the baby doll now? What is that, like some fucking
it's probably like a wine bar or some shit like that.
Right. So you guys, you know the spiel. Thank you for listening to us. Check out Pantheon podcast. Our fam. There's so many music shows, scripted, tons of scripted shows, every kind of genre of music. You will really find something for everybody, and it's an amazing network we're very happy to be a part of. And where you can find us, because you're listening to us, and
you passed the first test.
You know what I mean?
You passed the first test.
We just want to thank you guys for rocking with us. This is show 58. We can't believe it. And and 58,
no.
yeah.
57.
No, 57? Is it 57? Are you sure? I don't even know.
It's one of those.
It's
50.
one of those numbers.
Once you get above 50, you start lying about your age.
I need that stuff. What's that commercial where the people are like, I could think so much better now? Was it Preva something?
Yeah, we can't even remember the name of the medicine.
I can't even remember the name of the pill that says you might have anal bleeding, but you'll remember. So that's a really great thing.
Please stop talking about your love life.
No. No, honey.
I'm sorry.
No. This is Platinum Puss. It's Azealia Banks. Hey, Azealia Banks. Oh, her new song, Fuck Him All Night, is really good too. Fucking them all day and fucking them all night. I really like it. It's raunchy, but it's good. I like her. I like her music. She gets in her own way. If she would not have gotten in her own way, but her music is always good. Look, it's good sort of cunty. She's just a little problematic. But anyway, you know the deal. Follow us, talk to us on Facebook, talk to us on Twitter, Finish Imma, and Instagram, I'ma Let You Finish NY, Facebook, I'ma Let You Finish, all one word. And we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.